6 months ago, a hospital in Somerset became the first in the country to offer a new weight loss treatment on the NHS. It involves swallowing a capsule containing a balloon that makes patients feel fuller for longer.
Yeah, quite an interesting solution, isn't it? One of the first people to try it was Dave Pulford, and our reporter Ross Pollard has been finding out how he's been getting on.
I've managed to lose about 5 stone, or just over 5 stone, since July last year. And from the balloon, I think that was about 3.5 to 4 stone.
What a few months it's been for Dave. Back in February, he swallowed a balloon into his stomach. It made him feel fuller when eating. But this hasn't been a quick fix for him. He's had to dramatically change what and how he eats.
The balloon was part of a tool that helped me educate myself on how to eat smaller portions, how to eat properly, so more protein, how to slow things down when I'm eating so that you get the trigger that you're full. I think with anybody, you know what you need to do, but I just needed something that was going to help me, something that was going to guide me. And I think that's what the balloon did.
I mean, he's done amazingly, really. 30 kilos, not just with the help of the balloon. He was losing a little bit of weight beforehand, and he's continued to lose weight in the last couple of months since the balloon has dissolved. So he's done fantastically in getting himself fit for surgery.
This initial weight loss was to prepare him for his gastric bypass surgery, where he'll lose even more weight. He's the first of many.
We've got a list of patients to have this balloon. They wouldn't have ever even been able to have surgery, and now that they can, it's just really rewarding.
Just absolutely hugely proud of him. This is way out of his comfort zone. Just so proud and really glad that he's made that step. You know, we've been so worried about him, you know, me and my sister, you know, he's our baby brother. You know, we want him here longer, and we've been really, really worried about him. But I think this was the right time. I don't think he was ever really ready before, but I think this was the right time for him.
They've given me the opportunity, they've given me the education. It's down to me to make it work.
That was Ross Pollard reporting. We can now speak to GP Dr. Paul Evans. Thanks very much for joining us. How much of a difference could this make to how many people in the UK, do you think?
This could potentially make a huge difference if it helps more people get to the stage where they are ready for surgery, which is obviously a longer lasting intervention with better success rates. So yeah, it's hugely exciting. Obviously we need to wait for long-term data on it, but cautiously I'm quite optimistic about this.
That point about long-term data, do we know how safe this procedure is?
You'd have to ask an expert like Professor Wellborn about the safety data on this, but I'm not aware of it being particularly unsafe in any way, as long as it's done in expert hands. And yeah, I think in reality, it's less of an intervention than, say, a gastric sleeve or gastric band or even a full gastric bypass would be. So this seems to be relatively minimally interventionist as a step towards more interventional surgery.
All those things you mentioned there, Paul, were something of a cure, but it's much harder to discuss what a prevention might be. How much of a worry is that for you in terms of looking at how we tackle a much wider issue of obesity in our country?
Oh, this is an enormous, it's an enormous worry. I checked out yesterday, and just over a quarter of my adult patients are obese. And a significant number more overweight. And I think that's probably replicated at most surgeries around the country. So, yes, it's a massive issue. It's not something that surgery alone can fix. It's not something that even surgery with dietary advice and psychological input, as bariatric patients get, will fix. This is a societal issue, and society needs to be prepared to make changes in terms of the obesogenic environment that we all live in if we're going to tackle this properly at source.
In terms of the costs of this procedure, this intervention, as with anything, it comes with a cost to the NHS. But how much do you think that is weighed out or balanced out by the potential savings by preventing obesity? You know, where does the balance lie with this?
It's a good question. I'm not a health economist, but as a GP, what I can say is that if someone obese loses a significant amount of weight, they're likely to have fewer problems with back pain, with knee pain, and osteoarthritis, with hip pain. They're less likely to need joint replacements. They're less likely to become hypertensive, less likely to have heart attacks, strokes. They're less likely to become diabetic, where they might lose limbs or their sight possibly. So, yeah, this is probably worth it from a cost benefit perspective. If we're talking as a health economist, as a GP, anything that helps my patients get weight off and keep it off is to be considered a good thing.
And from your experience, why do you think obesity has become such a big problem now, bigger than it used to be?
Because we live more sedentary lifestyles, because we as a population have become poorer, we eat more ultra-processed food, particularly dense in fast access carbohydrates. We don't have open, safe space, decent public transport, or open leisure facilities in many areas. So essentially, it's because our country has become a harder place to live and more of our population subsisting on a diet that is slowly killing them.
Well, Dr. Paul Evans, thank you so much for your time and coming on to speak to us this morning.
Pleasure.